Also, Ghana eyes fuel imports from Dangote refinery. You are allowed to react to any of these stories or the conversations that we are going to have this morning. So you can call into the phone lines or send us your text messages. And don't forget, we are live on YouTube at High Voltage News. Like, subscribe, and share, and you'll be a part of what we are doing here. We are looking at the Punch newspaper this morning. Let's quickly grab a few things and then we will run off and check out other newspaper headlines in the news this morning. Right. Governors devise new strategies to keep local governments under control. It seems that the autonomy of the local government system is bothering a lot of state governors in the country. But I will let Dr. Ngene deal with that. Let's move over to Vanguard newspapers and see the rain on old salaries and other allowances by the federal government. Moving on, infrastructure, Abuja will look different by 2027, says the minister of the state, Wike. Also, dilapidated Sapele Wari Road, again, trapped motorists and travelers cry out. That is to the Minister of Works, David Umahi. Hope he takes note, as he's been in the news recently himself. Residents flee as flood overruns 11 Delta communities. And that's the march. Okay, let's see if we can grab one more. CBN IFC to provide $1 billion funding options to Nigerian businesses. Okay, that could do a lot for the business space, if only we are sure that the money does get to them. But what do we know? Let's see if we can pick up a few more, and then we will show you our investigated stories, and we'll push it over to Dr. Max so that he will do some analyzing for us. And you are allowed to join that analysis by sharing your thoughts and contributions and ideas with us on the headlines this morning. Still on the blackout, Northern States sack Minister of Power Adelabu. Nigerians cry out to President Tinubu. Also, Northern governors reject Tinubu's tax reform bill. It is cited that it will make another increase before the end of the year. 19 governors are standing against it. We hope something happens. Alex Ikwechi versus cab driver, lawmaker. Okay, so lawmakers' action is a disgrace to the Southeast, says Ohaneze Ndibu. And if you've been following the news, Alex Ikwechi, a House of Representatives member in Abia State, has been in the news for some very, very bad behavior between him and a cabman in Abuja. We will get to that soon enough. All right. Speaking on the strike, we want to resume without payment of our salaries and arrears, says SANU. Thank goodness Dr. Max is, of course, a very respected person in this particular field and in this particular institution. So he would have a lot more information to give us about the SANU and the ASU strike. All right, let's see if we can pick up a couple more. Emefiele, he instructed me against keeping records of money collected from him, and witness tells court. So Emefiele is back in the news, and I think this is in relation to his case and how it's going. He instructed me against keeping record of monies collected for him. That is what the witness told the court. FCT will be different when Tinubu's administration finishes in 2027. Abuja, more than most states in Nigeria, has complained about the transportation, the food problems, the hardship, more than most states in the country. So I'm wondering where the minister is getting this prophetic statement from. But what do I know? But if you do know, the phone lines are officially open, 0706 048 5853. Also call 0915 570 8347. From the Sahara Reporters, we may soon demand the World Bank and IMF's complete withdrawal from Nigeria, says the NLC. That story is good. I like it. I hope and I wish something really happens about that. All right, coming from David Umahi, claps back at Reps Committee Chair and says, I am not on your level. That is coming from the Daily Post this morning. These are our investigated running stories. Just 16 hours ago, this came up. And let's give you details about the House of Rep member Alex Ikweche, who assaulted his delivery driver and threatened to lock him up and make him disappear with no consequences. And he was, being recorded while he said these things. There was a video. It was crass. It was ugly to see that someone of his reputation would do something like that. And also, that's on the news this morning as he's facing all manners of what the young people these days will call dragging. They're dragging him like a tiger generator out there all over the spaces. But we'll see what you think about that. On the Vanguard News this morning, campaign to strip president's power over INEC and judiciary begins. If that is true, that is something to look forward to. Many pensioners have urged the federal government and their pension fund administrators to pay them their annuity and pension entitlement while they are still alive. That is a plea from pensioners in the country. And lastly, from the Punch newspaper this morning, no fewer than 50% of private hospitals have shut down, while existing ones are currently struggling to survive due to operating costs. And on that note, we will drop it on the headlines this morning. Dr. Max, is there a place you would like to start?
Well, you've reeled out a whole number of issues from the different newspapers we just reviewed. It would be good if you would begin to take
Break
it one
it
after
down.
the other because
All
it may
right.
be difficult for me
I
to.
have a lot of it in my head. So
Okay.
let's start with the strike, the SANU and the ASU strike. We've been on this. It's like every other year since almost 2020. Every other year we have seen a strike. And this is owing to the fact that it seems the federal government, they are not, coming up to
Keeping to
their own.
promises.
Yes.
Okay.
So what really is going on?
Um, it is very sad actually because you know that for people to trust you, for people to have implicit confidence in you, you must be somebody who keeps to his promises. If you make a promise, it is incumbent on you, it is a civilized conduct to ensure that you, in fact, keep the promise. Most times, the federal government had made promises to SANU and ASU without keeping such promises, and this is not very good. More so, those who work in the tertiary institutions are Nigerians, and they do know about the humongous amounts of money that those who are in politics earn. And those of us who are in the academia are acutely aware that some of the people who are in Nigerian politics are grossly not qualified to superintend over anybody.
Wow.
We are aware that some of them are there as opportunists. We are also there that, and we know that some of them do not really care about the well-being of the Nigerian people. Caring about Nigerian people will mean bringing in or churning out policies that will add value to lives of Nigerians. You begin to ask yourself, given the situation Nigerians find themselves in today, in terms of poverty, in terms of hopelessness, in terms of insecurity, in terms of unemployment, is it not fair for them to begin to ask, do we really have government? Is there a government in place? So you can see, even now that some state governments have begun to implement the new minimum wage,
That's right.
those universities are still asking government to pay them backlog of allowances that accrued to them and agreement was reached on many years ago. And you begin to see the plight of the man who works in the academia. And some of those people who work in the academy are very prestigious people. They are eggheads, highly cerebral people who believe that their own interests must be uppermost in the minds of those who are in government, and they are sure that that is not the case. It is not good. I just hope and pray that those in government, sorry about it,
Sorry.
that those in government must not allow any other strike, because when they strike, it becomes conflict, it becomes a problem, and it begins to retard the progress of our country. Our country does not need further crisis. The one we've had with Boko Haram, the one we have had with Islamic sect, the ones we've had with IPOBians, the ones we have had with Niger Delta militants is enough. We should begin to think of first mending. We should begin to think of policies that can instill confidence in the Nigerian people to make them know that there's light at the dark end of the tunnel. So for the SANU thing, no strike is good, but you know that strikes are the last resort.
Yes, but one wonders why the government will not give education any attention. It's
Well,
unbecoming
it
that our...
depends on who is leading. If you look at what is happening in Enugu State currently,
Okay.
you will now see that for the first time in the history of Enugu, that we now have a governor who truly understands the importance of education. It is very visible from the quantum of money allocated to the education sector by this government in 2024. You can see it from what is happening with the smart schools that are springing up everywhere. You can see with the technological advancements, some of these innovations that are bringing in to ensure that children who are going to come out of Enugu in the next few years can now compete with their counterparts globally. It's very important. So if you bring somebody who does not understand the value and the importance of education, the person may not really understand. Because in Nigeria, we've seen very many corrupt regimes, regimes that have continued to allocate so much money to defense, security, whereas we do not have any external aggression. Whereas certain research shows that some of these monies have been diverted into private accounts. That is why at the end of every tenure, you begin to see ICPC, EFCC, corruption fighting organizations begin to say we are looking for so and so person, that money have been diverted, stolen. Most times, we don't know what had happened with the investigation or even the monies that have been recovered.
I was going to point you to Governor Soludo, who is a professor and an academia. And then, of course, in 2024, he made no allocation to education in his state. You know, while you
No,
cited...
he may not. It may not be
Okay.
right if we say he didn't make any allocation to education.
It
We
didn't
are
seem
saying
like...
that maybe the allocation he made may not be good enough, because when we are talking about making allocation, it is usually advisable for them to look at the MDGs, the Millennium Development Goals, that says that there are certain imperatives, there are certain minimum standards
Yes.
that you have to do. If you, any country that wants to make progress must give education the priority attention it deserves.
It has to have a standard.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Dr. Max. We're moving on. Let's
I also
look at...
remember the story of the member of the House of Representatives.
Yes, Alex Ikweche. Did you see the video yourself, sir?
It was disgraceful.
Oh, dear.
And it has to do with the problem that is widespread in Nigeria. When you see people who are low in self-esteem, when you see people who are deceitful, when you see people who stay in exalted positions they never expected to stay, what you get is the kind of behavior that was displayed by Alex Ikweche. In that video, we heard Alex Ikweche talking to a cabman,
Yes.
somebody he looked down on, somebody he felt was a nobody, without understanding that the very man in question may be in the situation he found himself because of the Nigerian question, the Nigerian situation. Because from the language of the man, you can see that he's educated.
Of course.
And you can also notice that he is ICT compliant, because it does appear to me that he foresaw the kind of behavior that was meted out on him by Ikweche and was recording the episode, the entire scenario. And what saddened me most is not just the verbal attack, the vituperations, the venoms that came out of the mouth of Ikweche, but Ikweche lied to the young man, describing himself as a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, whereas in reality, he is a member of the Federal House of Representatives.
Wow, you did
being a member of, yes, being a member of the House of Reps is no small position. It is a federal legislator, and he should be proud of it.
Why do you think he had to do the little elevation to senator?
It has to do with insensitivity. Really? It has to do with impunity. It has to do with the situation we find ourselves in our country where people get away with everything. He is supposed to face criminal charges because he lied. This is a man that swore an oath. Because before you are accepted to be in the green chambers,
yes,
because in the National Assembly, I worked 8 years in the National Assembly myself.
Okay.
And those who work in National Assembly are expected to carry themselves with some degree of panache, with some measure of prestige, with some discipline, humility. You know, some people who should be in national service to deliver good values. But unfortunately, Alex Ikweche is not. And he began to slap the fellow. And the man said, "Did you just slap me?" He said, "I've slapped you 2 times. The third one is coming." And he later gave him the third one. So I read this morning also his
you saw the defense, huh?
Not even defense, his apology. And I feel it's not enough because he has staff that has couched it. Maybe his legislative aid or his legislative aid in language that looks appealing, but he did not display behavior that is expected of a man of his stature, a man who is sitting on that Olympian position. And that is very sad. And in behaving the way he did, because even Ohaneze Nibo has called it out,
yes,
and said that it's a disgrace
to the
Southeasterners.
Yes.
Because people who understand the Igbos do know that Igbos are respectful and that they understand that a full day's work requires a full day's pay, and that an average Igbo man wouldn't treat that cab driver the way he did.
It turns out he has other reports of people who have dealt with Alex Ikweche in the past, and he has a tendency to lose his temper. He doesn't pay people who do jobs for him, so he has a history. But my point is, why do elites here, and most recently, why have they started behaving in such touty manners? Why do you think so?
Well, most of the elites I know, some of them treat people respectfully. They treat you well. But respect begets respect. If you want to be treated well, you need also to be respectful and treat other people well. The point is that Nigerian politicians had successfully pauperized Nigerians to the extent that they are expecting you to come cap in hand, begging them to even give you what is due you. In our country, what has happened is shameful. Do you know that during COVID-19, some people who were in the National Assembly that had private businesses refused to pay some of the people that work for them? And they were earning money in the National Assembly. Millions of naira. Back home, they were pretending that there's nothing, like during COVID-19, you didn't work. Even when people were working from home, using technological devices, technological innovations to ensure that they were working. So it is sad that some elites and people who never dreamt to be where they found themselves, those whose chi cracked their palm kernel for, have suddenly become very antagonistic, become very callous, wicked, not knowing that no condition is permanent. There's a need for a reflection, not just among the Southeasterners, among Nigerians, to know that there's a need for us to remake our country so that our country can work for everybody.
All right, we are talking newspaper reviews, and soon enough we will get to insecurity in the Southeast. And this is High Voltage. We're live on YouTube. Go to High Voltage News, like, subscribe, and share. Join the program live. And you can also call into the studio to share your thoughts and contributions with us on any of these headlines, as they affect you, as you consider them. All right, call 0706 048 5853. Also call 0915 570 8347. The phone lines are officially open. This program comes to you every weekday, Mondays through Fridays, 9 a.m. till 10. And we are looking at the betterment of ourselves as a nation and, of course, as individuals. I have with me Dr. Max Ngene. He is a public affairs analyst. He is a great man in academia, and of course, he is a senior lecturer in ESUT as well. We are looking at some of the stories that have come out in the past 24 hours in this country. Some of them are quite ugly. But the one that concerns me, and I think I'm very interested in, is because I like to consider the financial status of this country. It affects me very much. So this idea of asking the World Bank and the IMF to leave Nigeria's economy alone, do you agree with that campaign?
Well, I don't. I am not an economist. I am first and foremost a Nigerian. So I am not even an accountant. I am an illiterate in those areas. However, I do know as a mass communicator that the problem may not just be entirely an IMF or a World Bank problem. The problem has to do with corruption, diverting funds, stealing funds that should be used to develop society, creating security problems where none should exist, so as to allocate resources that will never be used to nip insecurity in the bud. That happened the problem. So Nigerians are smart, but most times they are smart in the negative. They can set an agenda by creating a narrative that can divert attention. People begin to chase it. It's IMF, it's World Bank, it's this, that. How on earth can we see? The problem is that some of the people who are in top government positions in our country have no shame. As strong as the world is, you make promises that you're going to improve the lives of the people. You shout that it is your turn, that they should allow you, that you've done this in Lagos, that you've done that, this, and you come as president of our country and create confusion and make everybody become poor to the extent that Nigerians have become beggars, global beggars. Every time people who ordinarily should be helping other people are the people who will be begging people to assist them. People who will be asking for one help or the other. No jobs, and those who get jobs in secrecy because they have Abraham as father, because of the geopolitical zones where they come from. This is not good. And this is the reason why some young people are fed up with life in Nigeria. For them, life is no longer worth living. And I tell them to please persevere. Persevere, because there's God. But from what has happened, a great man, a leader, is the one that keeps promises. Is the one that tries to leave the place better than he met it. The one that adds value to the lives of other people. Because those people you are dealing with today may be people who will superintend over your own children. So that's the problem. For me, it's not just IMF or World Bank. We have intellectuals scattered all over Nigeria. If they'll be given the chance, but they may not be given the chance. Because before you're appointed, they begin to look at your role during electioneering. What was your input? Did you join in campaigning for me? Did you carry election ballot boxes? Did you intimidate others to ensure that they voted for me? Some of those infantile talks, very unnecessary talks, become the issue that is used to consider who is appointed and so on. That had been the problem.
But as an insider, what do you think or how do you feel that Nigeria can go about? Because I hear all of these solutions, they all seem like they are doable. It seems like something that can happen. How do we get there? How do we get to the happening? Because everything else is going against us.
What is, what if it is doable? It depends on who is the leader at the local government. It
Okay.
depends on who the councillors are. It
Okay.
depends on if their own agenda is in sync with societal agenda. It depends on who is the governor. You can A blind man cannot lead a man who is seeing. Do you understand?
Okay.
It also depends on the political will of the governor, of the president, to bring about positive changes, changes that can lead to sustainable development, changes that can trigger development at local and national level, changes that will make Nigerians to understand that God endowed them with diverse resources, which will make them truly great. Unfortunately, it is our leadership. Remember, Chinua Achebe and other scholars said that the problem with Nigeria is squarely placed on leadership.
Squarely placed on leadership. All right, we are now ready to take your calls. Sorry if we were not able to answer before. We had to let the doctor finish what he was saying. But you can now call 0706 Good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, my friend.
Good morning, this is Rachel.
You're welcome, Benita.
Now, I want to talk about the Mr. Alex.
Mr. Alex, yes, please.
This is one thing we are passing through in this Nigeria. I can remember the ex-governor of Anambra, is it ex or president? I don't know. In last month, I watched the video that he did inside the nation. When the workers worked for him, he was not able to pay him. It's not that he didn't have the money. And he's thinking that he's in the Nigeria. This is what they do to us. We are in the Nigeria. The way they are maltreating us is very uncomfortable. They should stop this. Because they are in high doesn't mean they are not the same with us. We are the ones that ask them to go there. And another thing.
Yes, Benita. All right. I'm so sorry about that. Thank you, Benita, for calling. I like when women call this program as well. Alternatively, you can call 0915-570-8347, okay? Or 0706-048-5853. We are live on YouTube at High Voltage News. Good morning to you. Hello, good morning. Oh, you're welcome, sir.
Justice.
You're welcome, Justice.
The case of Ikweche,
Mm.
2 men. See, these things have been happening. I bet you, do your findings. You find out that once you have dealings with any big man, if you want to, especially financially, if they want to take down money, they will do that comfortably, and you cannot do anything.
Is it because they are poor? Why would they not want to pay people
They're
who
wicked.
work for them?
Hello?
Yes, Justice, can you hear me?
I'm hearing you now.
Yes, I said, is it because they are poor or they can't afford these services and, these things that they purchase?
Yes, that is the reason. Thank God for the advent of this guy, VDM. If not for it, could you have known what happened? If people like this did not sprung off now, could we have known what is happening? And I believe God will raise more people like VDM in this country. See, If you go in, you see many of these atrocities being committed by rich men and politicians. You see it, it is too many. I have dealing with a rich, let me say on his level, a rich man. And he told me he's not going to give me that money. And he ended up not giving me that money until he died.
Sure.
He ended up not giving me that money. And the 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 sister was an area commander. I think was is AIG or what, or area commander or not, something like that. And you see, you can't do anything. Are you going to report to police station?
But it's an indictment on our security agents if these people keep, making threats with them. Because Ikweche was heard to be, to also say he would use the authorities. And I also asked the cabman to call the IGP if he would,
Until we remove that uh, uh, order, obeying the last order, until we remove it from our services, this thing will continue to happen. A junior officer will want to take up a case to the logical conclusion, and you see a call come through. Until we remove that thing, I think these things, maybe all these junior officers, they are eager to work.
You're sure?
Go to all the filling stations, all the police stations. There are determination to work, but once the order come, everything ends there. Everything ends there. Ikeche onye ọcha na-aba, they need to ask him more questions.
Onye ọcha na-aba.
Onye ọcha na-aba, that's the nickname. Onye ọcha na-aba. That's the nickname. I live in Aba. My parents are in Aba.
I see.
Oh.
And he just won that election through litigation. It was
through the law courts.
Of course.
He wasn't voted for. It's just that, he's somebody who can come in now. He will buy drinks for people. And, in Aba, you get those people by doing that freebies.
Oh, I see.
You get them. If you talk about that guy in Aba wrongly, they will beat you.
I see.
Really?
Go and check. Onye ọcha na Aba.
Onye ọcha na Aba. I see.
Onye ọcha na Aba. Go and check him. I was in Aba 2 months ago.
Could that be what made him feel so pompous, knowing that he has that
justice
cred?
has said it all.
Yeah.
Justice
When you have cows, criminals on your side, you can do anything. You can do anything. Once you have them on your side, you buy drinks for them. So I was opportune to hear from one person that even a stick of cigar can make somebody to kill you.
It's true.
Really?
Yes.
One stick of cigar, not even a beer, one stick of cigar, go and kill this person. He's going to kill you.
Wow.
So that's the situation we find ourselves. This thing needs to stop. And how can this thing stop? It's not from our security agencies. This thing, people will rise up. And those people that will rise up will start taking up these cases. And the courts are not doing well enough. They are not doing enough. Once this kind of case come to your table, let sanctions be done appropriately so that the others will learn. But you see our court dealing with the case that at the end of the day, the rich man will go free. It's quite unfortunate, Nevin. I believe this case will be taken to its logical conclusion. And at the end of the day, justice will be served to him. Justice will be served to him, knowing fully when that guy is not going to come to about. If he come to about, they will be a lot of him. Hello?
Yes, I'm with you, Justice.
I tell you, that guy, he has the crowd following him. He has the crowd. So if that guy eventually come to Aba, I bet you they will beat him.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for calling into the show, Justice, and also for giving us that, very inside information on Alex Ikweche and his perceived street credibility.
Popularity. And
right.
the Onyocha Naba.
Onyocha Naba, that is also a very important nickname to take note. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I greet you, sir.
Okay, from Abba Road.
You're welcome.
I special greetings to the dog. Dog, good morning, sir.
Okay, good morning, sir.
Thank you very much, my brother. You see, I want to comment on the young man, one of our musicians who was killed by a killer policeman. Do I call him killer policeman or something like that?
Okay, Ziamamba.
Iboja.
Iboja.
You see, the police in this state, and unfortunately, it is the same commissioner of police, Kanayo, who was there when somebody was killed at the main market. And the man, Kanayo, refused to fish out the policeman who killed one Mr. at main market. Another one has occurred. That time that they were killed, I keep calling on the radio, calling on governor and that commissioner of police. There is need to fish out that killer. Otherwise, this thing will continue to occur. I believe that if that man was sanctioned, the one who killed Mr. Odo, if they had fished him out and given him the appropriate punishment, maybe this one wouldn't have happened. Be it as it may be, I don't know whether they are now having a kind of discriminatory implementation of the justice in this state and in this country as we go. That man, that Odo's killing is still paining me. Not that somebody cannot make, police cannot make mistake. But if somebody has killed somebody, either accidentally or whatever, bring that person to justice. If the court sets him free, fine. Because to be frank, this I could remember what happened at Stephen Aniago when he died. The governor came up immediately, gave 48 hours ultimatum to the law enforcement agent. Whether they were able to do it or not, at least people were happy. But many of us started asking, why was that one now different from that of Mr. Odo? People who have sympathy for that Mr. Odo started having, a kind of different opinion on the action of the governor. Is it because this one is popular? Or is it because he's wrong? I don't know. So, Doc, you may throw light on why the killer of this policeman, the killer of this politician should be, will I say, punished or at least tried. Why that of the man who killed somebody at the main market was allowed to go free? I don't think that. So please, I want you to throw light on it. Let us understand whether there is any very big difference or why that one should be treated differently from this. Because the speed with which this the killer of this politician was given accelerated hearing, so to say, impressed many of us. But we then started asking what happened in that first killing. Please, Doc, I want you to throw light on it.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. OK. So thank you very much. Have a great day ahead. Doc, please, by all means.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let me start by saying that any ardent radio listener, or indeed any person who is in Enugu that wants to be honest with himself, will agree with me that Governor Dr. Peter Mba is somebody who understands the essence of securing lives and property. We saw the way and manner he began to tackle the issue of insecurity immediately he came, which was diametrically opposed to what was obtainable during the last regime that he took over from. He dismantled the blockades,
of course,
that could lead
around
people
the
to the
town,
government house,
yes,
and stuff like that, and brought new vehicles for security people.
That is true.
Tried to use technology to set up cameras here and there. Set up a center where security people could begin to monitor what's happening within Enugu. But before now, speaking quite sincerely, I am not very conversant with the first story of the Odo man.
Okay.
And it's very, very unfortunate.
Okay.
But from my commonsensical domain, if you ask how come that of Iboja, Okeze, Mwamba, because I also remember Steve Aniago, the Omata Oboete market leader,
and then there was
killed.
The Jerry's friend.
And the governor gave them a marching order to go and produce this. But I am not sure that they've been able to produce those that killed Stephen Aniago. I am not sure. We've not heard the last of that story. But if you have been living in Enugu, I knew Okezie Nwamba from childhood. He's a younger person to us. We were living in New Layout, where my grandparents own a house. So Okezie was living in Oguinike, in a place called Afia 9. And he was a gifted child in terms of culture, music, ogene, per se. And with this gift from God, he continued to entertain, amuse, project, and market our culture to the extent that he became a household name. Even when people are going for a walk, for sporting activities, memorial services,
That's right.
burial services, he became
The face.
the face of such a program. They will look for him before they will begin to look for an alternative Ogene group.
That's true.
Because of the quality of his music, because of his acceptability. So Okezie was a popular brand, a popular name, and he is coming out from Enugu, the metropolis, somewhere that is very close to the government house. And a lot of people, even those who are abroad, if you go to the social media, YouTube,
I am aware.
You will notice that nobody knew that Okezie had that kind of stature. And people were appalled by the incessant killing by security agents, which is part of the corruption. Because I saw a video where he was playing in a police office.
That was where he was shot.
And police officers, public officers, who used to frown at the spraying of money, police that are normally used to go and arrest those that sprayed money, were spraying money as if they've suddenly become lumpen bourgeoisies. And they suddenly became too wealthy. And I learned they were coming from a burial or something. Probably there was alcohol. Probably there was drugs. But I want to commend the government of Enugu and the Enugu police for taking prompt action on this issue. Because this action they've taken, which one, we've been told that he has been tried the police way and dismissed from service. And I also saw that he was remanded and brought to court yesterday, where the magistrate in charge, Magistrate Dani, had made pronouncements on next line of action and now adjourned the case to sometime in early November. This is good, and that is why, that is the way things should be. Some people who are from Okezie Nwamba's family and friends like us are aggrieved and unhappy. But from what has happened, we should never take laws into our hands. We should begin to now follow it in the legal way, in the most civilized manner. That is why it is wrong for anybody who should talk from the cozy of his house and ask people not to go to work, not to come out. This.
But
Some of these people.
There was a protest.
Yes, there was a protest.
There was a protest by people living within his environment at
Which,
the presidential road.
And which is what is now accelerated.
He has been the person who, the police officer who had done the accidental discharge.
It is not accidental discharge. No. If you had seen the video, you will see bullets riddled.
8.
So it can't be accidental.
They said it was
well, if it's accidental, the court will know if it is accidental. But the point is that life is a primary value. No life is bigger than another. And no one has the right to take the life of the other. It is not just about dismissing this police officer. It is about enlightening the police, trying to change their perception, trying to give them a new orientation, trying to make them understand that they are not in society to try to trigger problem. They are in society to ensure that lives are safe, that people are happy with them. Because police is supposed to be our best friend. But when you see police acting in manner that is not in conformity with the expectation of society, like collecting money in full public glare, bribery, asking vehicle.
Is it still considered bribery?
Is it a norm?
It has been.
Do you know what can happen to somebody who is caught by police at night with huge sums of money? If they can be collecting money from one vehicle to the other. And I was reading something, a former commissioner, a very good friend of mine, a professional colleague, and Nikwe was writing when he told us how he was the first editor of the police bulletin. He told us that the high-ranking police officers want the best from Nigeria, but the lower people, they know that they are working under very deplorable situations, and they tell them, we are putting our eyes somewhere, but if you're caught, you're on your own. These are that. Those kind of things are unnecessary, and that is why in Enugu, in Imo, in Abia, there's impunity, there's extrajudicial killing. This is wrong. There's an abuse of human rights. That you're working in any of the security agencies doesn't make you a larger than life person. You are first and foremost a Nigerian. But the problem is, a lot of people who work in the police force, they are not there because they love the job. They are there because they didn't find the kind of job they wanted, and they want to put food on the table. That's just the truth.
All right, Doc. I have to take it from you for here. This is where we will have to round it up this morning. I hope that
the time is gone.
Oh yes, it's been a wonderful time talking to you, Doc. Please come back soon. I would love to also continue this insecurity conversation with you because you seem passionate about it as well. And this is life we're talking about. I'm sorry we can't take more calls, but the person who did this, the officer who did this, has been identified as DSP Chidolue Ekeleme. He was identified by Daniel Ndukwe, that is the PPR
No,
of the
Ekeleme
police.
is the man in charge of the anti-cult.
Oh, Ekeleme
is the man in charge of anti-cult who has been
hasn't
redeployed.
He
He has been redeployed. The one is Wanji or something.
They haven't. That means they haven't dropped his name because
no, the names are there. The names are there. Something Wanji. You know, the man, the inspector was the one that killed, but he is working under Ekeleme. Ekeleme is the man in charge of the anti-cult, who is an SP of police. Yes,
he's an ASP of the police. SP.
The other one that killed, the man that is talking about accidental killing, is the one called one inspector. I've forgotten the real name, but it's all out there. But the point is that the anti-cult person has just been removed by the police commissioner, as said by Ndukwe, who is the PPR of police in Enugu, so as to allow for a proper investigation. The police is now saying that they've even concluded investigation and that the man has been taken to court, and we saw the video and stuff like that, which means that justice is taking its course.
All right, we will continue to find out and make investigations for you on that story. We will find all of them who are involved in this, and we will make sure, we will continue to follow the story and make sure that Ibuja gets justice that is due.
We will miss him.
It's quite unfortunate that such a lively and vibrant young man has to go. But this is where we will draw it this morning. Thank you so much for joining High Voltage. I'll see you again tomorrow morning. Be good to yourself and to everyone else. Good morning to you.